A poor choice of words from the Mitt Romney campaign this week when they tried to wish and hope away the issue of Mr. Romney's tax returns. After Mr. Romney released 2 years of tax returns on the day of the State of the Union, showing that he earns $57,000 a day for not working and thereby pays the mini tax rate of 15% that is specifically reserved for very wealthy people who make all of their money by having a lot of money rather than by working. Mr. Romney's campaign said less than 24 hours later that they thought the issue was done now. They expected people to stop talking about it now. Specifically, what the campaign said about the tax returns was, quote, "As far as we are concerned, we put it to bed." Bad choice of words, it turns out, because A, people are way too fascinated by those boffo tax returns to stop talking about them anytime soon. But B, the campaign should not be talking about who Mitt Romney's millions have gone to bed with, it turns out. Here's why. Do you remember the pray away the gay people? Is that ringing a bell in the part of your brain where upsetting images go? The you can be cured of your homosexuality folks, remember them?
He showed us some of his unconventional techniques like touch therapy, in which he encourages Rob to seek out same-sex mentors to basically recreate a healthy father-son bond.
It's non-sexual. It establishes like parent-child relationship. So he didn't experience this growing up with his dad.
Rob, do you feel a sexual connection right now?
No, I don't. I feel very safe and very comforted, and it just feels wonderful.
Another technique, bioenergetics, designed to help clients release memories stored in the muscles, in this case by hitting a pillow with a tennis racket.
I was angry at my mother, so I started saying, "Mom! Mom! 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 Why did you do that to me?"
That was an old clip from CNN back in the Palazan days, showing a self-proclaimed ex-gay man, Richard Cohen, who says he has cured himself of his homosexuality and is now very, very super-duper straight as an arrow. And he's showing some of the means by which he thinks he can cure other people of their homosexuality, too. You may recall that we had Mr. Cohen as a guest on this program. That interview was notable mostly for him denying things that I read to him from his own book, denying that they were things that he had written even though they were in his book. More interesting, though, was the really good investigative journalist Mark Benjamin, who was then writing for Salon.com. Mark Benjamin pretended to be gay, he's not, and infiltrated the we will cure you quack ex-gay industry. Did you find any evidence, any people that suggested to you that it actually works?
I did not. I found people who claimed that it works, but they were all in the business. In other words, they were selling books, they were doing work like Richard Cohen does, allegedly that to show that it works. So I found people that were making money off it, saying that it works.
The cockamamie, snake oil, predatory, pitiful, you can be cured of your homosexuality people? That's the new problem in Mitt Romney's taxes. It's not from his personal tax returns. It's from something called the Tyler Charitable Foundation. The Tyler Charitable Foundation is something created by the Romneys. They fund it, and then it, in turn, gives grants to various organizations. And because it is a charity, its finances have to be much more transparent than the Romneys themselves. But this is the Romneys' charity, and the Romneys' charity, with the Romneys' money, supports a lot of conservative causes that the Romneys support. CNN did a report on this the other day, finding out that this foundation has supported, like, pro-gun groups and the conservative think tank at Stanford and some medical stuff. But they also support, to the tune of $10,000 in 1 year alone, a group called the Massachusetts Family Institute. The Massachusetts Family Institute is an anti-gay group based in Boston, Massachusetts, that advocates all sorts of anti-gay causes. And that explains that if anybody is gay, well, you should quit that. Quote, "We encourage the healing of individuals who wish to change their choice of lifestyle through the work of Exodus International, Love One Out, and parents and friends of ex-gays and gays." So in the same way that one might choose to be like a ski bum or a Civil War reenactor or like, I don't know, a mathlete maybe. In the same way that one might choose to be any of those things, these guys say being gay is something that you can just choose not to do. You can decide not to do it. And how do these recommended groups from the Romney-funded organization propose that you do that? They promote magic therapy by which you can be cured of your affliction, like our old friend Richard Cohen advertised.
Another technique, bioenergetics, designed to help clients release memories stored in the muscles, in this case by hitting a pillow with a tennis racket.
I was angry at my mother.
Okay.
So I started saying, Mom! 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 Why did you do that to me?
Mitt Romney's millions have ended up getting the campaign focused on the broader issue of how Mitt Romney made all his millions and where he stashed some of those millions offshore and whether rich guys like him have rigged the tax code in their own favor, this new issue of whether or not there is previously undisclosed money that he ought to have put in his forms before that he didn't. But there is now also this new revelation that what Mitt Romney has been funding as charity is actually advocacy of the predatory quack industry that sells parents on the idea that you can ship off your gay son to a guy like this and he'll ship him back to you straight. Joining us now is the author, activist, and executive director of Truth Wins Out, which is a nonprofit that fights the anti-gay movement, Wayne Pheasant. Wayne, it's good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Let me begin by asking you if my description of the Massachusetts Family Institute is accurate. Do they promote this kind of stuff?
They absolutely do. In fact, they specifically promote Exodus International, which is the largest ex-gay organization in the world. This is a very strange group. They do all of the things you said, but they also have lipstick and makeup seminars for lesbians, and they teach gay men how to play touch football, trying to make them more masculine. They also promote Narth, a group that's so bizarre they actually say that gay men can become more masculine by drinking Gatorade and calling their friends dude.
Wow. So if I call my... No, that doesn't work the same way. I always forget. In terms of Love One Out and parents and friends of ex-gays and gays, similar kind of thing? They're promoting the idea of healing homosexuality through sort of quack therapy?
Yeah, Love One Out's particularly tragic because it targets children. When kids come out, sometimes the parents of these religious households freak out, and they want to know where they can go and get answers. So they go to Exodus International's Love One Out programs, and they try to say, if you just come to our ministries and pay us money and buy our books and buy our DVDs, we can help them go from gay to straight. It's very tragic, and one of the sad parts of Love One Out is they tell parents that, particularly if you're a lesbian, you only became that way because you were molested or sexually abused or you weren't raised right. And parents, of course, are terribly fearful that their child was molested. And you could see the parents cry at these events thinking something traumatic and terrible happened to their child when indeed nothing did happen. There's nothing scientific about these groups. They're rejected by every respected medical and mental health organization in the world, including the American Psychiatric Association, the American Psychological Association, the American Medical Association, the American Academy of Pediatrics, and so on and so on. Basically, anybody with credibility rejects attempts to change sexual orientation.
So to have Mitt Romney funding a group with a considerable amount of money that promotes this, I mean, he obviously wants to be seen as an anti-gay candidate. He's been out in the stump just in the last 48 hours talking about how he will promote a federal constitutional amendment to ban the recognition of same-sex marriages and all this other stuff. He wants to be seen as anti-gay, particularly right now in the campaign. But is the Massachusetts Family Institute promoting this kind of ex-gay stuff? Is it considered mainstream even in the anti-gay part of the political world, or is this fringe stuff?
Well, I think it's fringe to most people, but in the anti-gay part of the Republican Party, this is seen as mainstream. They really do believe that you can pray away the gay. And Mitt Romney ought to be ashamed of himself for supporting this in any way, shape, or form with his money. You know, Mitt Romney has been very craven and absolutely disingenuous in his career. You know, this is a guy who started out when he ran for Senate against Ted Kennedy saying he'd be better for the LGBT movement because as a Republican he could get more legislation passed. And then he went on when he tried to run for governor, and he said that he actually supported the Gay Pride Parade and said he'd support non-discrimination clauses in the law. And then suddenly he decides he wants to run for president, and he becomes all anti-gay and did everything in his power to stop marriage equality from happening in Massachusetts. And when it did occur, he trotted out a 1913 law that was used to punish interracial couples so they couldn't marry in Massachusetts. He used it so out-of-state couples, gay couples, couldn't marry in Massachusetts. And even in the worst of all, there was a governor's conference to stop LGBT suicides in schools, and he supported this until he decided to run for president, and then he got rid of this group that was saving young kids from killing themselves. He'll say anything, he'll do anything, he'll be pro-gay one day, anti-gay another, anything to advance his political career, and it's very shameful in my view.
Wayne Bezin, author and executive director of Truth Wins Out. Wayne, thank you very much for joining us tonight. You've done more than anybody to explain these groups to the rest of the country. I really appreciate it. It should be noted that if anybody has the chance to ask Mitt Romney a question on this, I never do. They never return my calls. You might just say, hey, your family foundation has been funding the promotion of Pray Away the Gay organizations. Do you believe that homosexuality can be cured through therapy or praying? Because that's what you've been funding. Do you believe that? You could just ask. Wouldn't take long. He might not kill you. Best new thing in the world still to come. It involves a very happy ending for a famously grumpy person. Plus the psycho effort to keep President Obama's name off the ballot this fall in the great state of Georgia. That's all ahead.